Hey guys, it's Jack Cypher here, and today we're going to be talking about the battle I keep mentioning in all my videos. The big conundrum: who would win in a fight, Deidara or Sasori? This will be my first versus battle video. I won't be throwing a bunch of calcs at you, telling you how much force is needed to destroy that mountain, or how this character is 3 times the speed of light. I'll be trying to go about it in a more novice and simplistic way. While calcs are great for power scaling a specific character, I don't believe it's the be-all and end-all of a versus battle. A fight isn't black and white, and has many different outcomes depending on differing circumstances. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be going over their stats and feats, but I'll be trying to do it my way. And of course, this should be obvious, but this is 100% subjective. So if you guys disagree, then definitely head down to the comments. I'll be extremely interested in seeing everyone's views on the matter. Now let's get some housekeeping out of the way. There are 2 statements I want to go over before getting into the meat and potatoes of this video. The first is how Deidara stated outside the Akatsuki cave that Sasori was stronger than him. Okay then, end of video I guess. However, if you're like me and think there's more to that statement than meets the eye, then I suggest you keep watching. There is a legit reason why Deidara could have said that Sasori is stronger than him, and it revolves around the idea that Deidara was trying to separate Naruto from Kakashi. Separating the 2 of them was the quickest way to capture Naruto. Deidara was very short on supplies, and taking down someone like Kakashi would have proved difficult in his weakened state. On that note, Deidara wasn't just short on clay, he was also missing an arm. You could even claim that Deidara only thought Sasori was stronger in that current moment. However, I admit that's a bit of a stretch. The most likely reason is because he was trying to bait Kakashi to go back into the cave to help Sakura and Chiyo, so Deidara could face Naruto one-on-one. The other statement is definitely a fact, but more on the obscure side, and it's how Sasori killed the 3rd Kazekage. The 3rd was the most powerful Kazekage in the Hidden Sand Village, only surpassed by End of War arc Gaara. So by what means did Sasori kill him? It obviously wasn't a massive battle considering that no one even knows what happened to the 3rd Kazekage. I suppose it's possible that Sasori was able to lure him away somewhere to kill him and they had a fight there without any witnesses. For this video, we are going to go by that logic, that Sasori did fight the Kazekage, it wasn't some sneak attack or assassination. Now the question is, how? To make it simple, I would say the fight went with Sasori being able to poison the 3rd quickly into their fight, then being able to overwhelm him with the 100 puppet technique. Either way, Sasori was able to kill the 3rd Kazekage, while most likely being in a nerf state as well. His power only grew after transforming the 3rd Kazekage into a human puppet and acquiring the Iron Sand Kekkei Genkai. Speaking of the Iron Sand, it also goes to show Sasori's durability and defensive capabilities, being able to survive such versatile and destructive attacks. It's definitely points in Sasori's favour given the fact that our mad bomber loves destructive and creative jutsu. Now let's move on to comparing their stats. Now, we'll start with Sasori because let's face it, physically he's sorely lacking in this series, having no real feats in this department. He gets manhandled by Konkoro when he was a reanimation, and is hopelessly outmatched by Sakura. However, this isn't a bad thing. He's not a physical fighter. That's not his style. He relies on his puppets to do his fighting, like a Forge Master in Castlevania, a Celestial Wizard in Fairy Tail, or a Conjurer in Hunter x Hunter. While he has no strength or speed himself, his puppet's speed and strength is no joke. With the 3rd Kazekage puppet, he was able to completely blitz Sakura without her being able to react. He was able to completely cut through Hiroko's steel tail with ease, and the furious exchange between Sasori and Chiyo left Sakura in awe. He's also a nuisance to kill, being able to switch his core in between his army of puppets. Now, let's look at Deidara. He was fast enough to maneuver and evade sand attacks from Gaara. Gaara's greatest speed feat by that point would have been summoning a colossal amount of sand in the span of time for a bomb to go off, and the sand in question not being the super special fast sand infused with a ton of chakra that he always carries around with him, making this speed feat much greater, and Deidara was dancing around that speed with ease. Now you can say Sasori scales to this speed as well, given that he killed the third Kazekage, who was stated to be stronger than this form of Gaara, implying he was fast enough to keep up with the iron sand that was faster and stronger than Gaara's. Deidara's greatest speed and strength feat, though, would be being able to survive against Team Guy without any arms. This dude was able to fight and escape from the greatest taijutsu team in the Hidden Leaf Village with just a kunai in his mouth and no freaking arms. Being able to keep up with Guy and Lee is impressive, and further proving he would scale above Gaara in speed. Also, a quick side note, Deidara fighting off Team Guy with no arms is just a feat that proves his durability and stamina. The last speed feat I really want to mention is that Deidara was quick enough to keep up with Sasuke, who had absorbed Orochimaru. Even though Orochimaru was sick when Sasuke killed him, there's not much disputing that heavy Sasuke is stronger than healthy Orochimaru. If you need more evidence on this, I'm happy to do a video on it. If you take Ultimate Ninja Storm as canon, then Prime Healthy Orochimaru is shown to be stronger than Sasori, and Deidara was shown fighting fairly evenly against an opponent stronger than Orochimaru. But for the sake of this video, we won't call that canon. However, I will say that Deidara scales higher than Sasori in speed and strength. Now let's get on to the juicy stuff. Let's get into their actual fight. I think first off, it's prudent to mention that the puppet Hiroko would be utterly useless against Deidara. Deidara would just sit back on his clay bird and bombard Sasori with C1 explosives. No, Sasori would probably start the fight off in his real body and activate the third Kazekage immediately. Deidara would create an ascent to the air on one of his clay birds, which Sasori would respond by shooting large and deadly objects made out of iron sand at the soaring Deidara. Now Deidara would be able to avoid all these attacks, just like he did with Gaara. The only true iron sand technique that could pose a threat would be the iron sand scattered shower jutsu. It gives off similar vibes to the Jiraiya's Sage Mode, Hair Needle Senbone Jutsu. By that, I mean it looks to be nearly impossible to dodge. But I believe Deidara would be able to use his speed to get enough distance to render the technique ineffective. The same is true of the World Order technique, though this, I believe, would be able to KO Deidara if he was ever stupid enough to close the distance. After seeing Sasori continue to volley barrage after barrage of iron sand at him, Deidara would up the firepower and turn to his C2 clay dragon. For the next few minutes, the dragon's explosives and the iron sand weapons would be ricocheting and cancelling each other out. As this would go on, Deidara would have to keep his guard up and make sure to evade all the poison sand that was thrown his way, lest he would die a gruesome death from the hands of the deadly poison which coated the iron sand Kekkei Genkai. Sasori, meanwhile, would have to continue to watch out for stray explosions, and to make sure he didn't step foot into Deidara's blast radius. After a while of the back and forth, Deidara's dragon bombs would get big enough to blow the third Kazekage straight to Kingdom Come. I believe Deidara would outpace Sasori in this regard. He seems to have more chakra, or at least not have to use as much as Sasori, so the puppeteer would eventually be overwhelmed. The destruction of his favourite puppet would lead to Sasori starting to use himself in this battle. Now, I believe his water and fire streams would be pretty rubbish in this battle, having no real use in this long-distance fight. Now, Sasori's hidden red move, Dance of 100 Puppets, is a much more interesting and deadly technique. Up until this point, I would say Sasori's been getting pretty smashed, unless he would happen to get a lucky poison cut in, but all that's about to change. The 100 puppets would be able to overwhelm any of Deidara's explosive clay, from C2 and under. This is where we get into the climax. The only way Sasori ever wins this fight is by using the secret red move and quickly overwhelming Deidara before he can bring out any of his bigger bombs. Despite Deidara's durability, all Sasori needs is one cut and it's GG. And with how many puppets there are and how they would attack Deidara from all sides, the chance of him cutting down Deidara is high. However, if Deidara reacts first, gets some more distance, and uses his C3 or C4, then Sasori is finished. If Deidara uses his C3, then there's nothing Sasori can do. He has nothing to defend himself with from such massive explosions. Even if he still had the third Kazekage and defended himself with iron sand, all of his 100 puppets would still be destroyed, leaving Sasori without any way of killing Deidara, leaving the mad bomber to sit from his perch and bombard and annihilate a helpless Sasori like an angry, vengeful god. The other option is even worse. Deidara uses a clay clone to evade the 100 puppets and activates the C4 Karura to invade Sasori's body and kill him without Sasori having any idea what just happened. The C4 Karura is such a broken and powerful ability. If you're not an Uchiha, you're pretty much screwed. I might do another most broken jutsu in Naruto video about the truly frightening C4. Also, I didn't mention it above, but I'm not including Deidara's C0 technique. It would be overkill anyway, plus I don't count a mutual demise as a win. So if you've watched all the way here, then you must know that I believe that Deidara is more powerful and would defeat Sasori of the Red Sand. I think I've made my opinion on it pretty clear. I just don't see Sasori being able to one-hit kill the Hidden Stones Shinobi with his death sentence poison. He's just too speedy and agile, as well as surprisingly clever. The only way Sasori pulls out a W in that fight is if he instantly brings out the 100 puppets and blitzes Deidara before he can properly react. But overall, Deidara is just too powerful, too destructive, and has too many ways to take Sasori down. Having said all that though, I do believe that Sasori would have a better time than Deidara fighting against opponents like Sasuke and Kakashi. So I can totally see why people place Sasori over Deidara. But I do believe, overall, that the Mad Bomber holds the title of the most powerful, completely bonkers artist in the series. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and it was a lot of fun making. The Akatsuki are some of my favourite characters in all of fiction, so any chance to talk about them is great. Like I said at the start, leave your thoughts and opinions on this subject down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This has been Jack Cypher, and until next time, have a wonderful day.